Welcome to Afros and Audio's Black History Month interview series. My name is Talib Jasir, founder and CEO of Afros and Audio Podcast Festival and the Vanguard Podcast Network. I'm excited to spotlight 29 outstanding indie podcast creators and professionals who answer the call to be a part of this series. My guest today is Mr. Al Pete. Welcome and thank you for being here. How are you, man?
I'm good. I'm blessed, man. How you feeling?
I'm feeling good, man. I'm glad to have this conversation with you today because the last time we connected, you were acting as a DJ and not a podcaster. And I know that that's not an act either. So I appreciate to really be able to talk about your podcasting journey and your network owner and all of these things in podcasting. We don't want to miss that. So let's get into it. Can you share the journey behind founding the MPN Network and what inspired you to enter the world of podcasting and media?
So, like I tell in most of my stories, I was not a fan of doing a podcast. I just wanted to listen to them. I just wanted to be a consumer of it. But me and my friend, shouts out to Sasha Thumper, we talk about music a lot. Being the fact that I'm a hip hop artist and I'm a DJ. So we talk about specifically like alternative R&B, neo soul, hip hop, that type of field. So we was like, we're just gonna get on some mics and talk, and everybody really enjoyed it. So we went ahead and I did a lot of the homework and was like, yeah, let me go ahead and just start this thing up, which became a podcast. And I started getting into it more and more. And I was like, well, we need to really kind of like center this energy together. Like we need to centralize it and have everybody kind of like in one unison. So that's when I did the neighborhood action. But before that, I used to throw parties. That's where you get the Mr. Peterson's neighborhood at. And so that's how that started, throwing parties, having these tailored exclusivity type of events. And then I was like, well, you know what? I really want to combine the two, the media aspect as well as the music platforms and stuff. So that's how we got the MPN network. And I just kind of merged it in. I wanted to make it look more corporate because MPN is basically Mr. Peterson's neighborhood, the acronym. So that's what it stands for. But I just wanted a polished look. My degree is in communication and media. I'm in grad school now to get my degree in communication management. So I understand the media aspect of things. So podcasting is a really big factor for media. And I just wanted to really add those and insert those thoughts in and those ideas and stuff and kind of make it important for to show some type of unity. So that's how it all got started.
Man, I appreciate it. What year was that?
The MPN Network. So we just celebrated 4 years in January. Thank you. So we've been kicking around for a good minute.
All right, that's what's up. Okay, so in managing the MPN network, how do you balance your roles as founder, talent, and the main producer and engineer of the podcast shows?
How do I balance that? Time management. That's real big on that. And at the same time, too, from being on the admin side of things, I move better if I have some creativity within my admin aspect. Like I have to go back to what centers me. So even with the music part, I have to like write a rhyme or record a song or even DJ, you know what I'm saying? Like I have to center myself into like music for me to be able to blossom into the other things. And that's helped a lot, especially with MPN. It's my company, and at the same time, too, it's for my community. So I want to make sure that I show that balance, but be able to understand for myself. It's all about time management, which is the admin side, but at the same time, too, making sure that I'm tapped into the creative side because the creative side really helps me blossom and bloom within the things.
Yeah, man, I get that. Creativity can get lost inside of the corporate aspect of it, and to always have that as an anchor, as a center to go back to is everything, you know, especially for a creative holding down a business.
Listen, it just dawned on me maybe 2 years ago. I don't know why, but I mean, I thought I was centering myself with that, like using the anchor, but you'd be surprised. You'd be so busy making sure that things are running and flowing well, and you tend to forget directly and indirectly. So, I mean, I've been doing it for a long time, but I remember specifically 2 years ago, I was like, you know what? This music really centers me. And the media aspect, the media is not too far away from the music. It's like the two favorite things that I love. So it's going to balance. But the music definitely is the one that holds me down for sure. And it helps me see things clearer, make wise decisions, be ethical about the things I talk about, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera.
All right, man, that's what's up. And so, was there ever a time where you in this kind of middle ground where people know you for the music, they know you as a DJ, as an artist, and then you were like, I'm going to do a podcast as well, incorporate this. Was there ever a point of dissonance in your spirit or in your idea of how the people, your community would receive it from doing music solely and then incorporating podcasting as something else that you do?
Not necessarily because of the topics. I mean, even with the podcasting, we always come back to the music aspect of it. I mean, the shows that are on the network, they've blossomed from music, and even with that, they bring in music within it. So there's like this tie that's within the shows that blossoms the whole network aspect, and then it comes back to me as a musician. So from the DJ standpoint, yeah, everybody's, oh well, he's DJ, but it's cool when people see the other facets that I got going on, and I believe that it makes the story stronger and better because they're like, okay, well, he's not just a DJ. Like, he's very versed in a lot of things and he knows how to tie it in from one thing to another. So it doesn't hinder me from the DJ side. It's just whenever people get wind of it. When they finally get the point, they're like, okay, cool. Well, we're here now. So that means we can get more than just the music from him.
All right, that's cool. I asked that question because of that multi-talented human that they've been doing the work for so long in a certain area or certain industry, and they want to do something different or they want to create something else to go with it, but they're stuck in that, well, what are they going to think? What is the people who know me around the circle going to think about that? And then sometimes that stops them from even moving forward with a new
Absolutely.
idea or a fresh idea.
Yeah,
So I
absolutely.
love that.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's unfortunate because you can kind of see some people, they have a good intention. You like, if you could get over here on this side, you would be perfect on that. And I think that is a part of evolution. You know what I'm saying? And one of the questions is, what is somebody going to think of me? But thankfully for me, I just really been like, look, we're just going to try it. And I've always been that person to be like, let me just try it and see. I've never been kind of worried about what people would say in regards to that because it feeds my soul at the end of the day. It definitely feeds my soul. It enriches me. It helps me move forward. Even with music like hip hop, it just it helps me move through life. So I'm like, if I get into it and I enjoy it, more people would get it. And especially when you start learning about niching your audience. When you get your crew of people, it's like them 50 to 100 people. If that's what you want, that's good, and you rock with that versus working to please everybody and get to this status. So it's all about knowledge of self.
No word. I definitely appreciate that response and you being an example of that because it is important. The more that you can do, the more that you have capacity to do. Like what we doing? If we not giving our full selves in this one experience that we got to live
Yep.
out this life, do whatever feeds you, as you said. So I love that. That's a message for people who are wanting to do more but stuck in some idea of self and or people outside of themselves. That is not the part that you need to be stuck on. So,
Absolutely. Absolutely.
yeah, that's what's up. All right. Well, with several years of operation with the MPN network, what strategies have you found most effective in growing and sustaining the network?
I've been on this for the past couple of days, but engagement, like engagement. You have a community of people, whether you want to call it community, fans, followers, whatever the case may be, like engagement is like very important. And I'm very adamant about that. Just engaging with your folks. Now, deciding on how much and how deep of engagement you want to do, that depends on the type of work that you're doing. But I know for me, I try to give people as much as I can, even from the personal side. I'm a very private person, but I literally just posted a transparent moment and we're just telling people like, watch out for people that want to do partnerships and it doesn't fulfill you. So that's a strategic plan as well. And I try to be as transparent as possible with my audience because a lot of people are just not transparent and we don't have to pour our guts out or nothing like that. But at the same time, too, it's cool when you're talking to your fans and followers and let them know not the failures, but the lessons that you learn from that, because that helps them in their growth. And it just shows that you're human because a lot of people, a lot of corporations, organizations, communities too, they're not very like transparent. They're not like, let's be a little bit truthful about the situation. Let's be straight up about this. Let's be honest about it. So with all that being said, the engagement action, that's one of my main things that I pride on when it comes to the MPN. I call the people that follow me my neighbors. So I try to be as neighboring as possible. So I might come on the scene and be like, hey, what's up? Y'all good? Everything fine? Like, how y'all feeling? What y'all think about this show? What y'all think about this song? This and the third. I just really believe engagement like is one of the main factors for me that work. I'm not trying to be too personable, but at the same time, being for the people, and being for the people is just as large as being like personal. You know what I'm saying? So that and just being truthful and building that trust with my people, that's a strategy that I pride on as well. Like making sure that I report the right things and make sure that I'm not like offending. You can't stop offending people, but I'm real big on that as well. Just being honest and building that trust with my community and whatnot. And I'm real big on communities. That strategy action, I'm pulling from the community standpoint with that versus your typical corporate America, that type of feel. So yeah, just being honest with people and engaging, people will buy in, especially if you got some great content. They'll buy in. They're like, hey, well, let me step in and see what he's doing. Let me listen to this show. Might be a seasonal person or a person that will listen to every show that you come out with. But I always, I'm always thankful for people that want to listen to my show, so I engage with them. People that have concerns, engage with them. People that give me praise, engage with them. Those things help me out a lot, and just being truthful for sure.
Yeah, yeah, no doubt. I really appreciate that from you. It's one of those things where it is a lot of smoke and mirrors out there, right?
Oh yeah.
And which makes people almost believe that steps have been skipped. And since the fact is you can't skip any step in your journey in order to evolve and become, it is important for people to understand that, because a lot of people, we already know, they see finished products that have been polished enough to appear like a finished product,
For
even
sure.
though there's still work to be done.
Right.
And that'll get people fucked up in the game completely. You know what I'm saying? If they don't understand that there's levels and steps were made throughout those levels.
Absolutely. Yeah. Unfortunately, and even with the post that I was talking about that I made, a couple of people hit me up on the side, and I was just as honest as possible with them. You know what I'm saying? And of course, I walk with logic versus emotion. So I'm just like, well, trust your gut on that. You know what I'm saying? But at the same time, too, watch for this, watch for that, this, that, and the third, because everything you're seeing, it might not be as clear as it is. And people are dodging looking at people work. Like the working process is it's a lonely path. As you know that, you know what I'm saying? Like doing the work is sometimes you just really feel isolated and feel like nobody understands what you're going through. And some people might do it, but it's such a lonely, closed in process. But then when you come out with the product, it's okay, I did the best I could, and people still will dismiss the work part and be like, "Oh, I want to do this." Boom, it happened. Here it is. Ta-da! Here's, you know what I'm saying, here's a show, and here's all this other stuff. But it's man, like it's work. It's work. So yeah, it's work.
Yeah, yeah, it's a lot of work.
A
A
lot
whole
of
lot.
work. A
Yeah, a
whole
whole
lot of
lot.
work. And that's even I'm talking about from all angles, really. Like from the emotional side is work. From the working side is work. From the business etiquette part is work. It's just all the levels that you have within those are work. So it's like you
Learning
have
as you go
learn it
is
as you
work.
go is work. One of my
Right.
main things that I want to say real quick is when it comes to building a community and whatnot, one of the things I really pride on that I read, it was like 7 bullet points, and it said reward experimentation. And I'm like, that's awesome. Like, even if people can accept the experimentation aspect of it, that still is work. But it don't make it as bad because you're working with the team or with yourself and being like, look, man, I'm trying this out. I'm gonna see how this works. If it doesn't, you know what I'm saying? It's like putting the pieces together, and whatnot. And I think that's very important to for creators to understand that aspect of it.
Yeah, I agree, man. Life is nothing but experience and experimenting. Like
Absolutely.
in every way, like in
Yeah.
everything that you do, because we're just here in this social and human experience. And especially for folks like us, and again, congratulations to you in grad school now. In a lot of ways, that's accessible to some and not accessible to others. But even regardless of the formal training, the higher education, there's so much intuition and instinct that goes in to creating and to building these businesses up that you can read a book a day. It ain't gonna get you the knowledge that experience and experimenting will.
Absolutely. You're very correct on that. Put me in
Yeah.
the streets. Put me in the. Granted, listen, I could read a book, sit in the class, learn all that stuff, but after a while, I'm like, let me get out in these streets. Let me get in the field and get the real experience. So.
Yeah, no doubt, man. So when it comes to the evolution of MPN and what you all have done from the beginning, now you've incorporated a newsletter.
Mhm.
So talk about the significance of the newsletter and the MPN app that you want to promote. How do they both contribute to your network's growth?
It's just another avenue for newcomers and people that follow currently to experience the MPN effect. When it comes to newsletters, it was crazy. I remember I started my newsletter and the percentage of people opening it up and like doing the clicks and stuff, high, very high. I'm talking about way higher than any engagement that I was doing on social media. So I was like, yo, I need to be running these newsletters. Now, granted, I'm still on social media promoting because I know a lot of my people are on there as well. But the importance of the newsletter is like, one, everybody's not on social media like that. And when the email effect is always, I feel like people stop when the email comes through. Even if they see it's spam, they stop and be like, do I want to read this or not? You know what I'm saying? Versus like a social media post where people can just kind of keep scrolling and go from there. Yeah, just the thumb, just keep going. They might hit and they don't even look at 3 or 5 seconds of the video. They keep going. But like them email blasts is very intentional, especially if you make the emails like personal, like just really talking to the people, like engagement. So the newsletters has been like a big effect to me. So I run that point like crazy. Like every month, I'm like, first of the month, I don't even let the third get by. And I'm like, email got to go out. Even if it's one thing I'm promoting, it's got to go out. But I'm adopting more. I'll probably do another one like mid-month because I have a lot of stuff coming up. And I just don't want to spam nobody, but I don't, the percentage of the newsletters is great. And I need to do more research on it, but the people are opening it up and they're actually engaging with the email. Like I get messages back, hey, good job, congratulations on this. Like I enjoyed this. And I'm like, oh, this is way more direct than a social media post. So between that and the app, actually the app, man, thing to have, I would like to promote it a little bit more because I feel like the more that I promote it, more people can get to it and see how cool it is to have everything in one spot. Listen to the radio station, be able to watch videos, the YouTube videos, listen to the playlist like directly on the site. And I have a push notification that I send out and it just alerts people like, okay, this show's coming up, this, that, and the third. And that's just being intentional as well. So it's just other channels to connect with your folks. I believe in having as many that you have and then kind of scale it back from there. So
Yeah, no, that's dope. And I had a curious question aside of that. And, you know, being a DJ, and I'm sure you're global and people know you in different states. But there's something to be said. And as a writer, like I know that local and regional fans are everything to the work because they create the international and the global. They're passing it along. They're saying, here, you should listen to this and on and on. So,
yep.
how much of your local region, your area, have you leveraged for the success of the podcast and MPN network?
That's an interesting question. I feel like I'm still trying to figure that out. Honestly, I love my city, but when it comes to understanding podcast and media and how that works, it's been interesting how people perceive it. So I know with my podcast community, of course, Afros Audio, BPA, Content Creators of Colors, it's more like a digital type of thing. So we all kind of go into this digital world and then we exist there. But from the local aspect, I'm still trying to work that out, man. I'm still trying to work it out. I mean, it's like the DJing part is no question at all. Like that part is solidified, but it's a little bit more people learning more and more about. Oh, Al's like the podcast guy. So it's gradually moving. I'm not denying it or being discouraged of it. I just feel like there's a little bit more education that needs to happen, and I'm willing to give that education. But I just got to find a right way to educate it. You know what I'm saying? Outside of the digital aspect, because I've been in the streets lately in regards to going to some of my friends' parties. A lot of my friends are like starting podcasts, so they're inquisitive about that. So I try to school them as much as possible on that. But it's just a little bit more work that need to be done from a local level so we can show the impact, so we can be able to get resources and be able to have opportunities to grow and get people involved into the podcasting space.
Yeah, no, I agree with that. And as you were talking, I was starting to think about I have a podcast that's out of Durham that I produced, and we have social media, and a lot of people thought the audiogram was the podcast. They just had no
Yeah.
idea about what a podcast is. And it goes to your point that we are still educating people on podcasting base level, same definitions together, right? It's still a thing, and especially in smaller cities that, I mean, obviously New York, DC, Baltimore, places like this, Philly, West Coast, there's certain cities that are up on it, no shadow of a doubt. But in these areas, right, there's Edenton, North Carolina, there's Florida,
Duval
Duval.
County.
So it's like these places where you're like, oh, we have to start at what is a podcast and where do you listen? That's
Right.
where we have to start. Yeah. Very
It starts like that. And I mean, I'm not sure if you're going to segue into this or not, but I mean, even when it comes to like black podcasting, but that's a whole nother conversation. One of the things that I pride on in regards to podcasting is I pride on our voice being heard. So when they come to podcasting, I'm like, listen, this is about the easiest method that you can use if you want to tell your story or get some facts or inform people on stuff. So that's a whole nother conversation right there when we're talking about like black podcasting and certain regions, certain cities. It goes deeper than that, but it's still education to be given. And I'm here to give it. If anybody be having questions, I'm here to give the lessons.
Yeah. And it's one of those things where we start to recognize that it is going to be up to us, those of us who want to see this industry grow and remain and increase the voices inside of it. It's up to us that are already in it to be the ambassadors of that. Listen to podcasts, try to do a podcast. It really is. It's up to us in a lot of ways to make sure that happens.
Right.
Especially we see the void, and that is something that is needed. It's where we are. Who better?
Yeah, you're right on that, man. I mean, we need those educators around that's going to kind of be the flagship of what podcasting is and what black podcasting, how does that look in your city, or how does that look in your community? How does that look in your culture? How does that play a role in a lot of things? Politics, when it comes to music, geography, all the things. And just trying to get somebody to realize that podcasting is like a form of media. I am a strong advocate of that part. I'm like, podcasting is a part of media. I don't care what nobody say. And when you're dealing with media, you're informing people, you're giving people information. So you have your ethical moves about that. It's a lot of education that needs to happen, but we're still on, like you said, like the surface ground. Like, what is a podcast? Is it video or is it video audio? What came first, the chicken or the egg? What came first, video podcasting or audio podcasting?
And yeah, we're getting there. But it is, like I said, and like you said, it's one of those things where we got a ways to go. And podcasting not being the default media, we have ways to go in order to educate folks and bring more people into podcasting, because that's the point, and that's how we grow as a community, as an industry in general. So thank you for your response to that. How do you measure success for the network and the community? How do you ensure that the community feels appreciated and valued?
I'm going to go back to the engagement part. Having genuine conversations with people. I had a friend earlier this week, maybe, talk about her experience with podcasting and like she watching what I do and showing the importance of podcasting and how it looks, like showing that aspect of it. And she like, well, this influences me to start my podcast or even to take podcasting serious all around. I'm like, that's great. I'm glad that I was able to be that person to show that without even necessarily getting on my stupid being like, hey, go listen to my podcast, this, that, and the third. Like the fact that she was looking at my work and was influenced by that, and she's probably going to share that with her friends, family, etc. That's a success story for me. So those engagement stories and talking to the people and engaging in that regard, that's like the number one success for me. Of course, when it comes to monetization, which if that comes, great. If not, that's fine too. But those type of successes, when you change your people's thought process and they really like, I lend that thanks to you, Pete, for that. That's some great success for me. That's how I
Word,
kind of
word.
measure it or whatever. Having those conversations with people and they genuinely tell you those stories, I love it.
Yeah,
I'm like,
yeah.
I'm doing something right.
Word up. And that kind of segues into this next question is the most rewarding aspect of your network. You just shared an instance where someone came up and just said, listen, I'm influenced by the work. Is there anything within the network or even with the artists that you work with that you can share a memorable moment or an achievement for the MPN network?
I don't go off downloads, but I've had a show that reached like the 5,000 mark, and it was very proud of it. And granted, it was like, yeah, the downloads matter, but the fact that they called me the producer, they're like, well, the producer made sure that our information was straight, and he walked us through it, this, that, and the third, and he really cared about our work that we put out. Like he was very intentional and very like straight up. And when I say straight up, meaning like just being honest with people and being like, you want to inform people, what are your intentions? And having people really think about that before they really start this journey. And then I'm sitting there helping them. And for them to praise like that, I was like, yeah, it made me feel good. It warmed my heart up a little bit.
That's awesome. And as far as a producer, did you fall into that role? Did you go into the work knowing I'm going to produce podcasts?
Well, I fell into it for sure. Did I think I was going to be doing this? No. I mean, a lot of things was easier because I'm in music. So hip hop artist. So I understood Pro Tools. I understood rapping. I am still a rapper. And understanding how to produce in that regards, the technical side, I just moved it over to the podcasting side. So that was an easy transition. And I know I wanted to get stuff done. So I was like, all right, well, let me just do this. So I fell into it with the intent, but I brought everything from the music side to it. So it wasn't so hard, but at the same time too, I study a lot of people and see how they do things, from like the sound designing part to how many promos you need to have to put out there. You know what I'm saying? So I've studied from that aspect of it, and then I just applied it. Listen, word experimentation.
No, I love that. And I love that those skills that you transferred. And I really think that more people that know how to work a soundboard need to get into podcasting. That's just my personal opinion. The more folks that can create music that can be incorporated into podcasts, it would be great if we had this opportunity for that to be an extension of the work, is to also do audio engineering and audio professional work in podcasting. So
Yeah,
yeah.
man. Yeah, that's important. I mean, podcasting is audio based. It's the number one thing. Some people, they're still thinking video podcasting, but when I think of podcasting, I'm like, the audio got to be on point as much as possible. So I pride on that a lot. Probably pride on that way more than the video aspect of it.
Yeah. Okay, we need to do something where we start recruiting musicians in the podcasting. Let's go. We'll figure it out. That's our next step.
That's a niche, man. That's a niche. We
Yeah.
can do it. We can do it.
Right. Yeah, yeah. Let's go. So you have a lot of experience, man, from producer, talent, running your own network. What advice would you offer to podcast hosts and audio professionals that are looking to make a mark in the industry?
Know the work, study the work. Like, study the work, research. That's my advice. My first advice. And then my second advice is make sure that you're very intentional with your equipment. We do the things, but do a checklist. Make sure you have a checklist of things that you need to do when you're in these positions, regardless if it's with yourself or with other people. It's very quick. It's very easy to like forget a step or two. So understand the steps that you need and just get repetitive with it. And then what did I say? First, research, study. Oh, my third one is to know why you want to do it. Like really know why you want to do the podcast and what is your purpose. If your purpose is to make money, then you need to build a platform. You need to build a plan so you can be able to work with that. If you want to really inform, build a plan around that and find those people that will love your product. And another thing too, it'll take time. All this stuff takes time. This is not going to happen overnight because people are still understanding what podcasting is. And even with anything, it don't matter if it's baseball, basketball, whatever. It still takes time to get to a certain level of things. It's not an overnight thing. So really have patience with yourself please make sure you do your research to study other people that's doing the type of work that you're doing, even outside of your work. Like if you talking about drums, go listen to a podcast about roses or flowers or something like that, because you can learn from that. And then just making a checklist of things that you need to do and what you don't need to do.
Yeah, man, you said it. And that's something that I noticed that you have a really high value in is conducting research and listening to a diverse range of different podcasts and having different understandings of those things that are outside of the field. How has that helped to develop your own personal and professional growth?
So what, studying things outside, just gives you a wider range of what you can tap into subject matter wise. I mean, I'm a big hip hop fanatic, so I'm going to watch any documentary, any movie about hip hop. But I've learned a lot about how rock stars handle situations. I've learned stories about people that ran labels, learned stories about people who run stores, like the Tower Records documentary. Man, even if you ain't think about running a store, you can learn a lot from that specific documentary alone. And it just gives you a different perspective of different angles that you can come at it with the subject matter that you have. So it gives you a clearer range. I want to educate them on how to write a rhyme, or I want to talk about what happens when I do finish the rhyme or when I actually have the song. So many components that you can handle and tap into and sprout those out into 2 or 3 other things. It just helps to get outside of your comfort zone. I recommend that for sure.
Yeah, yeah. Word. All right, we gotta chop it up over some documentaries. Then I'm a documentary king over here, so
Really,
let's
you know
go.
what? Yeah,
Yeah,
when we get some time, we'll put each
yeah.
other on some documentaries for
Word
sure.
up. Word up. All right, so you've been talking about the music a lot. So how do you curate content for the Groove Suite podcast, ensuring it remains fresh and engaging for your audience?
So the Groove Suites focuses on music with grooves, like something that'll put you in a really good groove. I do like to focus more on the alternative R&B, neo soul. I know a lot of people don't like to call it neo soul anymore, but that era of music, conscious hip hop. So we focus on those, and it's pretty easy because you don't see a lot of people talking about that type of music online like that. I mean, there are certain avenues that do talk about it, but it's not that much. So we really just be promoting the music and the show, or if they got something special going on, we promote that. So, like prime example, I posted Little Brother was on a Breakfast Club, so that's pretty unheard of, you know what I'm saying? And to the underground hip hop lovers and stuff like that, seeing Lil Brother on Breakfast Club, a national syndicated type of show, it was a good thing. Like I loved it. So of course I shared it to Group Suite. Yo, it was almost like we made it. So when I posted it in my group, people really understand. Oh yeah, we champion for this type of sound because these people don't get the love that a typical artist would get. So I come at it from that angle as well. Like really just giving people flowers that wouldn't necessarily get like the full national recognition, and really just putting people on. I pride on it, but the groovers, I call them the groovers. So usually I'll say the neighbors and the groovers, that's who the groovers are. And I pride when the groovers like share songs with us. So that builds content within itself, but it goes back to what I've been saying the whole episode, being engaged with your folks. And you posting this song, that song, and then they come back and say, oh, well, you like this type of music? Oh, I'm finna, yeah, I like this and this. It's the engagement part that keeps the content fresh and going. But of course, we do general conversations, but I think it's more rich because we're talking about something that doesn't really get that much light to it. So
Yeah, speaking of documentaries, that Little Brother documentary was like the shit. It was so good.
absolutely. It was very
Yeah,
good. It was very good. And oh, it was good. It was good. It was good. It was good. Especially
yeah.
if, and I mean, you've been following from day one, right? So, I
Absolutely.
mean, being invested in what they got going on, it's the champion story. So
Yeah.
you could talk about that all day. Like when it comes to their growth, you could talk about where they at now. There's so many content that we can pull from it. You know what I'm saying? So
Yeah, no, that's dope. And music is that universal thing. Like you could sing or rap something in one language and the people that don't speak that language at all are still gonna be able to vibe and rock out to it. So
absolutely.
um So music is one of those things where you never have a day without content when it comes to music.
Nah, especially with like neo soul and like that type of stuff. Yeah, like it's really easy. I know for me, I feel like Thursdays as a content creator, it should be like the most easiest thing to do because you could do throwback Thursdays, you could do like a thankful Thursday. So like when it comes to the music, we could be talking about Usher all week. But Thursday, we probably gonna pull up an old Usher song, like the Baby Usher, or you can go years back and pull something to be like, what did you listen to when you was cleaning up your room? And it's just so much that you can go from that. So it's endless with that.
Yeah, man. That's dope. That's dope. I love that, bro. I'm a vinyl collector. I know you got your crates over there. Well, we can't even call them crates. I got some in the storage unit. I got so damn many.
You got
So,
a lot. You got a lot. If you got them in the storage unit, you have a lot.
yeah, man. One would say too many. I don't want to inherit no one else's record collection. I'm good.
Oh man.
So yeah, but music is that thing, man. So I love what you're doing over there with the Groove Suite podcast because that's our music, man. That's the music of our generation. And
Absolutely.
for me, I'm a Gen Xer, and I just feel like we the blueprint of what is today, and
Absolutely.
we had a blueprint of what was before us that actually made hip hop amazing. Was our samples and our R&B before that. So yeah, man, I love it. All right, I'm gonna finish this up. You have made a recommendation to check out the Tables Might Wobble podcast.
Yeah.
What's the qualities of that content, and why do you want listeners to check it out?
So, from a podcasting standpoint, I want to school people on the pros and cons of DJing and all the things about DJing. I wanted to tell a story about that. And then two, I just wanted to get my chops up to get into like the NPRS narrative storytelling factor of it. So I just pride on the fact that I put both of those together, being the fact that I live in both of those worlds. So it's cool to kind of start with something that I'm familiar with. Still had to do some research on it. Despite that I DJ very often, I still had to do research. You know what I'm saying? I still had to do the checklists. All the advice that I just gave earlier is the same thing I had to put on myself when it comes to this podcast. But yeah, it's just one of those labors that I'm like, I hope people listen to it and really learn from it and really enjoy it too, because I try to make it as entertaining as possible. And it shows another level of me as well. And if you love the art of DJing or whatnot, it would be cool to just listen to see what DJs go through or the victories of DJing. So, because I feel people treat us with a service more so than like an art. And I want to be able to uplift DJing as an art and have people understand that it's really an art. Granted, we do provide a service, but it's not just us hooking the tables up. But me even going back to the work part, it's not just, oh, you come in and I'm DJing, da da da. Like I have to go through a whole process. And so I pat myself on the back, explaining a lot of those factors. And I'm working on season 2 now. So I don't have a date for it yet, but definitely in the midst of work of it for sure.
Yeah, no, it's important, man. And I think it would be a great compliment to coming out of New York. They were doing like DJ courses and people coming in and physically being able to get at a table and interact and learn. And so to have something like the tables might wobble as a compliment to that knowledge, right? There's one aspect of being here, then there's the other aspect of understanding, hey, when you come up against that, don't shut your whole shit down. Just do this.
Right.
You know what I mean? don't panic and run out the room. Fix that part. So yeah, it's important, man. One birthday, I told my wife I wanted a DJ Serato. I got a Serato Pioneer DJ up here.
Hey, it's okay. Cool. Look at you get.
Listen, I felt confident because I had the PlayStation DJ. Where you could push through. So I thought I was actually going to be able to do something. Just like I think I'm going to be able to fight my way out of the apocalypse from all of my first-person shooters. Sure. Neither of these are true, right? so yeah, this Serato's been chilling because I was like, I don't know. Okay. I'm gonna leave this
you like, yeah, this is a little more technical than I thought it would be.
Oh man, listen, I bought all the Serato, the little plugins, and I was like, I can't. This is not something I can do. It was fun. I played with it for 2 to 3 hours.
Yeah,
and it's been collecting dust ever since. But so I respect the hell out of your profession and what you do, and for creating the best party of my year in 2023.
Oh man,
at
we
the
had a
Afros
great
in
time. We
Orlando.
had a great time, man. Thank you for having me on there, man. It was, I wanted to really put on for the community. I really wanted the community to feel great. Look, like we came to learn and came to be a family for sure. But I'm like, I wanted to really pride on making sure that the community understood. Look, we in this together. We got each other's back. Talib got your back. It's these people that got your back, and I hope that I let people
Bruh.
know that I got their back as well. You know what I'm
Yeah.
saying?
It was amazing. I mean, I have so many words and so little words for it because that's just how dope it was.
Yeah.
Like, it was something that was truly so needed for myself specifically, but also for the community. We need times like that. Like,
Yeah.
period. Hands down.
Yeah.
We need that energy. It's more important than anything, bro. And you definitely brought it for us. So I appreciate you.
Yes, sir. No thing. No
For
thing.
sure. For sure, man. All right, so we're gonna get out of here, but you had a tech stack that you use, and I think it's really important to ask folks who are doing the work behind the scenes to kind of support people in knowing what works, how you graduate to stuff, and not start out crazy. But just share a bit about your tech stack, and then we'll roll out of here.
My tech stack. So listen, this right here, like I ain't paid $1,000 or whatever, how much this is. I ain't paying for nothing. I use it. So this comes in handy depending on, I mean, of course, if you know your subject, yeah, and stuff like that. When I say subject, meaning the lighting, audio action, but you could do a lot with this, a lot with the phone. So that's one. I have a Sony A7 II, so that camera works for me. I have my Focusrite. I have my microphone, the Rode. What else do I have? My headphones, ring light. Those are the essentials for me to do the work at home. But I am mobile as well. This right here, this is like my new toy right here. This is DJI wireless mics. Listen, when you in the field and you want to get some interviews real quick, I bought me a stick from Amazon. Just boom, and then just hook it up like this. Got to stand. I got this, man, and the audio is very great coming off of it. So I don't have to do too much editing and post production. But when you out in this field, it's beautiful. This is like
All
my
right.
toy. I'm sorry for having it all close, but this is
No,
like the
no, that's
toy right
gold,
here.
man. That's gold. I love that you provided that because there are a lot of people. I have a friend who does motorcycle tours in New York City and he's got a sidecar on it. And so he meets all these people and he has very interesting conversations and he wants to do podcasting underneath the Brooklyn Bridge and shit. And I'm like, bruh, you know how much noise you're about to have to contend with. But technology, as it emerges, is going to get more and more isolated to the audio itself, take out the wind and all that sort of thing, and allow you to do things like that, to be in the field. So that's gold, man. I'm glad that you shared that with us
Yep.
and something for people to check out.
Yeah, one more thing real quick. This is good as well. I have this Rode that you can hook up to your microphone. I want to say you can hook this up to your cell phone as well. Of course, you need to have an adapter to it, but it worked just as good too. So, and this popper right here, it helps with sound. Now, the Brooklyn Bridge sound, I don't know. That's, but nevertheless, those type of things control sound. So it's very important to have these things around you and really understanding the nature of the sound. But that's my tech sheet.
Appreciate it, man. So I want to make sure that we talked about the newsletter, we talked about the app, we talked about MPN Network and the
Yeah.
podcast. If there's anything else you want to shout out or promote, take your time and do that. And then let people know how they can find you on social media and online.
Gotcha. So just started a new radio show with WJCT News 89.9. It's an NPR affiliate station here in Jacksonville, Florida. So Saturdays at 9 p.m. It's called The Neighborhood. I put a playlist together and it's hip hop, soul, neo soul, might be some little jazz, some funk in there, but play some stuff like that. And I'm incorporating interviews into it now. And the interviews that I'm incorporating, I want to filter it out so people can understand that I podcast as well, just to give people a snippet. So you could tune in on that. You could go to MrLP.com on the page. It'll guide you to how to listen to that. So the two websites, MrLP.com, MPN-LLC.com. Those two, of course, Mr. LP is a personal one, but the MPN-LLC, that's the Mr. Peterson's Neighborhood, the MPN Network brand. That's where you can find all the podcasts, listen to the radio show. You can download the app on there as well. We do have some blogs on there that we post, but that will filter you into all the social medias as well. But if you want to start off with social medias, MPN Management and Mr. Al Pete, everything.
All right, man. I appreciate it. I really do. It's been a pleasure talking to you.
Man. Thanks for having me, man. I'm honored to be on this Black History action, man. Yeah.
Word up, man. It's important that we highlight, man. Y'all, me, I get to include myself into this community, man. Just some really brilliant and innovative folks. And I'm so proud to be a part of and privileged to be a part of y'all's creativity and the work. And so it's really important to be able to highlight us in this way during this time and always. So thank you again, man. Having you as a DJ again, yeah. It was a transformative experience.
It was tribal. Yeah.
Yeah. We had a good time. So I'm looking forward to having you back if that's an option.
It is an option, and I am ready to go.
All right. Well, we're ready to have you, man. It's going to be a good time. So thanks again, man. And I'm going to close this out. All right. I want to give a big thanks to our Afros in Audio and Black Podcasters Association members for support and our commitment for community and collaboration. If you'd like to join the Black Podcasters Association, the link will be in the description. And if you want to join us at the 6th Annual Afros in Audio Podcast Festival, visit afrosinaudio.com. Follow Afros in Audio on all social media channels, and you can find and follow me at Talib Jasir on Instagram. Thanks again, Mr. Al Pete, for being part of Afros in Audio's Black History Month interview series.